Hey, it's Steph, and welcome to the Straight Up with Steph podcast, where we have real discussions around health and life and just trying to be better at both. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Straight Up with Steph. I'm Steph, your host, and today we're talking about alternative careers in dentistry. Since I've branched out of clinical and started my company, I get asked a lot, how can I get out of the op? Or for some people, they want to still be in the op part-time, but they want to find something else part-time. I want to talk about some options that I'm familiar with. This is by no means a complete list, but I do want to tell you about the alternative jobs that I know a thing or two about. Sometimes people will say, well, all I've done is clinical. I don't have any other skills. Just stop for a second. Think about what we do every day. We are extremely organized. We're great with time management. We have really high attention to detail. We've completely honed our interpersonal skills with dealing with patients or team members. We're self-motivated. We know what needs to be done and we do it. We have admin skills with working with computers, with note-taking, treatment planning, dealing with charts, dealing with insurance. We know how to handle new technology. We market products and habits to our patients, kind of like a sales rep. We talk a lot, kind of like a public speaker. We teach our patients about oral hygiene and just health in general, kind of like an instructor. All these skills I just mentioned are not easy. Not everyone has them, but yet these are the things that companies are looking for. I can tell you, I had no idea the opportunities that existed outside of clinical practice, whether you're a hygienist or anyone else in dentistry. I remember back in school, they taught us briefly about marketing and education and research, but I didn't really know what any of that meant. And honestly, I was just trying to learn my clinical skills so that I could pass my boards and get a job. So I wasn't thinking about all of that. And don't get me wrong, I loved and still love clinical practice. I love scaling teeth. I think it's so satisfying. But besides that, I love building relationships with patients. I was at one practice for about 10 years and I loved it. I had full autonomy over my schedule, how I treatment planned, and really I got to know my patients. I got to know them year after year, see them improve, not just with their oral health, but their overall health. I saw their kids grow up. It was awesome. And the office itself was great. The doc treated me and everyone else as an equal. We all had equal say into the practice, and it was great. But after a while, I did start to develop some pretty bad back pain, hence the reason I got into ergonomics and why I'm doing what I do now. I was so scared that I wasn't going to be able to work anymore, that I was going to lose my income, that I'd have to find some other job that I'd be able to make as much as I was as a full-time hygienist. Because of my pain and my situation, I knew that I was doing something wrong in the operatory. So I started to relearn ergonomics and really watch what I was doing, and I felt the results of that. I felt the power of working ergonomically. I had less pain. I had more energy. My mental health really improved. If you struggle with chronic pain, you'll know what I mean when I say it affects every aspect of your life. And there were some days, I'm not going to lie, I was pretty miserable. When I realized how powerful good ergonomics is and really how simple it is, I had a light bulb moment that I wanted to help other clinicians. I just decided almost overnight, it seemed like, that I was going to start my own business, help dental professionals with their ergonomics, and hopefully teach what I wish I would have known earlier. I went back to school, I got certified in ergonomics, started my business, and I've been going at it ever since. It's been about 3 years. I had people tell me later they were not surprised that I branched out and started my own business because I always had that vibe, that entrepreneurial vibe, I guess. So that worked for me, becoming an entrepreneur. I do assessments, either virtual or in person, of any member of the dental team. I also travel quite a bit and do speaking events. I speak on ergonomics and substance use disorder. I also create content both for myself, my website, my social media channels, and for other companies as well. If entrepreneurship is your thing, I think that's great. If you have a passion for something or an idea for something and you know that there's a need in the market, I feel like that's the most important thing. Other most important thing of being an entrepreneur is not giving up. I am not going to lie. I have had some moments where I'm doubtful that I've wanted to give up, maybe because things weren't going the way I thought. I wasn't making as much money as I wanted to. But from what I've learned about entrepreneurship, the most important thing is to just keep going and never give up. But you don't have to start your own business to do something outside of the op. If you see someone doing something that you like or doing something that you want to do, reach out to them and see if they're willing to talk to you. The worst they can say is no or ignore you, but at least you can ask. I've had many people reach out to me and ask me how I've done what I've done, and I'm always happy to share my experience. I do like to see some initiative on their part, though. For example, I get asked a lot, how do I become a speaker? This is not a quick conversation. There's a lot of different aspects to it. So my response to that usually is pick your topic, build your objectives, build your slide deck, then come back to me and we'll talk. Becoming a speaker is not a quick conversation. And so I want to make sure that the person is really invested and they've done some of their own homework first before I get on a call and start chatting with them. But I am happy to share what I know. Building something of your own, especially from the ground up, it's intimidating. You don't know what you're doing half the time. You don't know anyone. And so I do want to support people who really want to start something of their own. When you're thinking about doing something different, I think you should ask yourself first what you love and what you don't love about your current position or your current job. And also, what kind of life do you want? I think that we should start with that first as far as what kind of life we want and then build our career around that. I didn't do that at first. I would get whatever job that I could get, and then I would kind of build my life around my job. But now it's the opposite. I decide what I want out of life, and then I create my career around that. Our quality of life and how happy we are, that is so important. I mean, yes, having a good job is important too, but we really need to be happy with what we're doing. Do you still love patient care, but maybe you don't like your particular office? Maybe you just need to find a new place. Do you like or dislike your schedule? Do you want more flexibility or are you good? Some people want to pick the days and times that they work each week, and some people are fine with that structure. Temping is a good option. You could either temp full-time if you're looking for more flexibility, or a lot of clinicians work a couple days at a practice and then they temp the other days so that they have a little bit more flexibility and variation with their schedule. Temping can be great though for some people. Are you able to take as much time off as you'd like? Again, temping might be a great fit for you. Maybe you like to travel. You could be a speaker or a rep for a company. There's typically a lot of travel with both of those. Do you want to stay home? You could do CE with webinars, or you could work for a company, maybe a remote position where you're doing virtual lunch and learns or just working for them from home. There's also management positions within dental offices, like especially with DSOs. For example, with hygienists and DSOs, there are hygienists who can be lead hygienists, trainer hygienists, instructor hygienists who may still provide patient care sometimes, but they also help with onboarding new hygienists or training in different systems or different technologies in the practice. Or are you looking for something beyond patient care, like completely out of the operatory? Are there products that you've recommended for your patients or things that you use yourself that you really love? Maybe you could be a rep for them. Companies like Waterpik and Sonicare and Arm & Hammer all have dental clinicians on their team, either providing lunch and learns, either virtually or in person, or they'll send these employees to trade shows to represent them at those shows. Do you like to teach? That's always something I enjoyed. I really liked teaching people stuff, but I didn't necessarily want to work in a school because I wanted more flexibility over my schedule. Giving CE has been a really good fit for me because I'm able to educate people, but I also have full control over my schedule and my time, which I like. If you're thinking about giving CE or becoming a lecturer, what are you passionate about? I really recommend picking a topic that you love because getting up in front of hundreds of people and talking about something is really hard if you don't love it. Believe me, I've lectured on things that I'm not passionate about, and it's so much different when you actually are passionate about it. So what are you passionate about? Is it oral systemics? Is it ergonomics? Is it new technology? Is it nutrition? Is it sleep dentistry? Is it medical integration? I mean, there's so many topics out there. It's almost limitless what you could pick. It's funny, when I first started my business, I thought I had a very clear picture of what I thought I would be doing, what I thought my business would do, what my days would look like, how I would make money. I've let go of all of that because life just kind of takes you where it's going to take you, and I've learned to go with the flow. So sometimes I'm slammed with assessments. Sometimes I'm traveling almost every week for CE lectures. Sometimes I'm doing a lot of content creation. Every day is different, but I just kind of go with the flow now. When I first started speaking, I saw speaking as a way to get my name out there and to grow my coaching business, which is true, but speaking itself has actually become a major source of my income. When I first started, I had no idea how to build a slide deck. That's your PowerPoint presentation. How to deliver that presentation. I didn't have a style. I didn't know how to market myself. but I figured it out. I did it anyway. By the way, Google is your best friend for a lot of this. I Googled how to create a slide deck. I watched some YouTube videos. I also asked some people in the industry their advice, and I created my slide deck. When I was developing my slide deck, I always kept my mission in my mind. And my mission was, what did I wish I would have known back when I was in pain and back when I was struggling? Because usually when you're struggling with something or you have questions about something, other people do too. So I was almost teaching my formal self when I was creating that content. That's what helped guide me, and that's what helped me create a really great first presentation. Once I had that built, how was I going to market myself? I reached out to my local association, I'm here in Denver, Colorado, and asked them if they needed any speakers. They graciously allowed me to present a webinar for them, and I can't remember if it was free or pretty low cost. Either way, it wasn't about the money, it was about the practice. I was able to just get on there and practice presenting in front of people. I then asked for referrals to other people who needed speakers, and slowly but surely, I started to give more and more presentations, which allowed me to really hone that presentation and get a lot of practice in. I also did a lot of research, a lot of Google searches. I had an Excel spreadsheet, every single state, all 50 states, and then I would try to find as many emails for associations and study clubs within each of those states that I could. And then I just started cold emailing those associations with my presentation and a little bit about me. I was emailing people every few weeks there for quite some time. I had also gotten the advice to network as much as possible. And you can network kind of on social media and by email, but it's always better in person. I would travel to some of these bigger trade shows that I'll talk about later on my own dime, and I was able to network on the product floor with companies, with reps, at these parties with other dental people, with other dental clinicians who are doing what I wanted to do. But these in-person networking events were invaluable for me. When I first started my business, Polished Posture, I worked with a coach for about 3 months just to help me start up the business and give me some advice. And she had recommended that I post on social media at least once a week. Back then, when I first started, I barely had any followers on Instagram, and every time I put a post up, I felt like I was the only one seeing it. Well, me and my business coach, that was it. But with content, it is a slow process at first, but you do start to build momentum as long as you're creating really useful, relevant content. For the past few years, I've been working really hard on Instagram. I'm doing well there. But I'm now starting over with YouTube, with this podcast, with TikTok, and it's really humbling to start over. But, it's a good thing to be humbled, so it's fine. I have the same mindset with content creation as I do with speaking. What do I wish I would have known back then? Because likely other people are struggling with that too. What do dental clinicians need to know now, today, to protect themselves and reduce their pain? That's the kind of content I create, something that's useful, that's relevant, that people can actually use. Every now and then I'll post something personal about myself, but that's typically not my go-to. I really try to focus on you, the viewer, and not myself. You probably won't see me posting pictures of myself looking cute just for cute's sake. That's not the kind of content that I even like, and that's not the kind of stuff I want to put out there. I want to help people. I want to help people learn and improve their lives, and seeing me like on vacation in a bikini probably isn't going to do that. Content creation can be a lot of things. It can be how-to videos. It can be memes. I do a lot of both of those. It could be blogs, newsletters, articles, podcasts, really whatever you want. Anything that will help you spread your message and get information out there, that's content creation. Some people don't like to be on camera, which I totally get. I was awkward at first. Some of my earlier videos are so cringy, but it's fine. We all learn. But some people just are not comfortable being on camera, and I get it. There are videos that you can make where your face does not have to be on camera and you're still spreading really good information. Or you can write things like newsletters, articles, or blogs. You're still spreading good information, just not on video. Creating content has been a way for me to be creative. It's actually really fun, but also get my name out there. And it's been a significant lead generator for me for assessments, for coaching, for speaking gigs, and for brand deals with other companies. Do not underestimate the value of social media, but make sure that you use it wisely. I mean, consuming content and being on social media can be not good for us, so you just have to use it carefully. But it's been something that has been maybe the biggest contributor to the success of my business. Do you like to teach? Would you like to teach future dental clinicians? Maybe teaching in a school would be a good fit. If you still enjoy patient care, you could teach in the clinic where you're still still doing hands-on type stuff with patients and with students, but you're also teaching students. To work in a school, many of them require you to have one level up from the degree that you'll be awarding. So like I went to an associate school, my instructors all had bachelor level degree or higher. If you were in a bachelor's program, they would want you to have a master's or higher. This might not be completely accurate with like every school, but that's kind of the standard rule of thumb that I've heard. So just keep that in mind. When I first graduated back in 2008, I had an associate's degree, which that just never sat right with me because I went to school for 4 years and I still just got an associate's degree. But I went back to school years later. I did a bachelor's online degree completion program and got my bachelor's. Did that help me with my business? I don't know, but I'm still glad that I got it. It's never a bad idea to continue your education. I mean, there's hygienists now who are graduating with doctorate degrees, which is pretty amazing. If you aren't so stoked about patient care, you could teach didactic courses, and this could be a great fit for you. Many dental clinicians start working for companies like oral health companies like Waterpik or Sonicare, maybe a stool company, maybe a loop company, or any other kind of dental product company. We already have clinical knowledge, which is invaluable. Plus, we know the pain points of both clinicians and really what people go through when they're working in dentistry. Some of these jobs require a bachelor's or higher, but some don't. Is there a product that you've used and loved, either for yourself or for your patients? This would be a really easy thing for you to get in with that company because you already love the product. Maybe it's a good polisher, maybe it's instruments, maybe it's loops, maybe it's a mouthwash that you really like. All of these companies really like to hire dental clinicians. Reaching out to these companies either by email or social media or setting up a Zoom call is great, but really in-person networking, it's where it's at. I cannot overstate the importance of doing stuff in person. Attending some of these bigger trade shows where you can meet them in person is really good. Plus, you get a lot of bang for your buck when you go to these trade shows because all of these companies and all of these reps are in the same place. Some really good trade shows are RDH Under One Roof, ADHA, ADA SmileCon, Greater New York Dental Meeting, the Hinman, Yankee Dental Congress, Chicago Midwinter. So there's a lot of other conferences, but those are some of the bigger ones. You could even ask companies if they need help at the booth. This is a really good way to kind of get your foot in the door. You can network with that company. You can also travel to the conference and network with other companies as well. Most companies are always looking for help with booths at these events. What about consulting? Consulting can mean many different things, and I feel like you could literally consult on like anything. I remember when I was at that one dental practice for 10 years, we worked with some practice management consultants, and I would always think like, I could do this. I would be good at this. And it's true. A lot of dentists, hygienists, and assistants end up working for some coaching companies. Some of these bigger consulting companies will train you. They'll train you on how to become a consultant or how to coach. They usually have really good systems that they can train you on, and then you can start working for them. They really like to hire clinicians because what I said before, we know the pain points of the practice, we know what's up in a practice, and we know how to talk to other clinicians. Like, we get it. Some clinicians have started their own consulting business, like with me, with polished posture and ergonomics, but others consult on like time management or increasing production or mindset. Literally, there's so many options. Whatever you decide, just make sure it fits within the life that you want. I feel like I learned a little late the importance of creating the life you want and making sure that your job fits within that, because our happiness and our state of mind and our well-being is really important. We get burnt out and miserable at our job because that job isn't fitting what we actually want, and that could be really exhausting. If you're enjoying this content, please subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow my podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thank you for being here, and I will talk to you soon.